So as I mentioned earlier, we're really honored and happy today to have several men here from the Recovery House to share with us. So Al, if you want to come on up um, and just enjoy what they have to share.
Hello, how's everybody doing out there? My name's Al Ferrer, and I am the program manager at the Recovery House. First of all, you guys probably should have done like most debit cards or most credit cards, most change, really. Whoever had more than 10 coins, you guys are amazing. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about the Recovery House and how Teen Challenge started, and after that, I'm gonna have a couple of my brothers come up and share their testimonies. Teen Challenge started about 60 years ago with a little pastor named Dave Wilkerson. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. So 60 years ago, he was reading a Time magazine, and he seen that these boys were on trial for murdering a boy in a wheelchair, and he went over there to defend these boys. When he went there to this court, he was kicked out of the courthouse. He never was able to help the boys. When he went back to Pennsylvania, he decided to pray. He had a TV in his house, and he said, you know what, I'm going to get rid of my TV, and instead of watching TV, I'm going to go ahead and pray. And while he was in prayer, he heard a calling to go to New York to help the troubled youth out there. When he went to New York, he started going on the streets, and he would go to the gang members and the drug addicts out there, and he would rally them up, bring them back to the house, and he would kind of show them a little bit about what the Bible is, and introduce them to Jesus. A lot of them gave their lives up, and he would have them go out and share their testimony around, and he would have them come back to rallies, and they would turn in their guns, they would turn in their knives, they would turn in their drugs. But what he started realizing was that after they would leave, they would go back to the same thing they were doing. They'd go back to the gangs. They'd have their drugs and all their violence and all that stuff. So he decided that maybe it would be better if he created a house where these guys can come into the house and live in the house and actually be discipled by Christian men. So he did this, and this was over 60 years ago. And Dave Wilkerson is a great man of faith, if you guys know who he is. And we've followed that same concept over the years, over the 60 years. And over 3 years ago, they decided to open up a recovery house here in Rensselaer. And we shared here about 3 years ago. And since then, a lot has changed. The community has rallied around us. It's been really great. We're growing. We've seen, over 100 men come through our house and be successful. And as everybody knows, the last year has been a little bit difficult, or the year and a half with COVID. But COVID did not stop the need for men that needed help. So during COVID, we did not close our doors. We stayed open, and we've seen around 54 men in the last year come through our house and gone to Elkhart and tried to be successful. So a little bit about the way that it works is, the Recovery House is a 30 to 45 day program, and a lot of the men, they come straight off the streets, and they come into our program, and we call it the crisis phase. A lot of them are still dealing with withdrawals. They're still dealing with a lot of the garbage that they were dealing with in their life. So they come into us. It's 4 staff members, 2 staff and 2 interns, and it's a little bit of a smaller setting, so it's very personal. But right now we have 3 students, so it's 4 staff to 3 students. We eat together, we sleep, not together, but we sleep in the same house. We share a bathroom, so like everything we do together. So if there's anything that these men are going through, we know right away. So we kind of talk them through that, and we kind of get them acclimated to go to the center in Elkhart, which is where they finish off the rest of the program. So we do 30 to 45 days, and the program in total is 12 to 18 months. While they're with us, they have to go through the first phase, which is, they have a couple of things they have to do. There's curriculum that we have, we call GS&C, which is group studies for new Christians, and then we have personal studies for new Christians. And we also do a class called How Do I Know I Am a Christian, which kind of helps these brothers out, when they're coming in, because they come in with all different kinds of knowledge. Some of them don't know who God is. Some of them haven't been in church their whole life. So we kind of try to walk next to them and help them out in that. we have a lot of different classes. We have like classes like a quick look at the Bible. We have attitudes, temptation, successful Christian living, because a lot of the times, a lot of different programs, like secular programs, they come in and they sit down and they talk about the problem. They talk about, what drugs they shouldn't do, where they shouldn't go, which, I mean, these men are smart enough to know where they should and shouldn't go. So we just kind of disciple them and show them what the Bible says and what God wants us to do so they can be the men that God created them to be. This program really works, but it's not really about the program. It's about Jesus. So the men that come in and actually give their life to Jesus, there actually is like a 80% success rate, which is bigger than any secular rehab out there. So that's a good thing. Let me see here. I hate speaking in front of people, if you guys can't tell. But I do it because I have to. So the crisis phase is the first phase we go through. The second phase is the induction phase, which is months 2 to 3, and they do that in Elkhart. And that's more to establish a student in the foundations of a relationship with Christ. Then they go through a training phase. The training phase is from 4 to 12 months, and it's to give the student, practical opportunities and principles that he's being taught in, so he can kind of, whatever he's being taught, he can kind of show that. Then we have a reentry phase, which is at the end of the program. And what the reentry phase is basically like a halfway house. So basically they work, they stay on campus, they pay rent, and it's kind of to acclimate them to get them back into society. We also help them save money before they leave. So it's not like, hey, you're done, boom, kick you out the door, good luck. So we kind of help them out. We place them in jobs. We help them save money so that they can get reacclimated into society. And after that, for guys that are married or, we send them back home and then they just have to check in with us, come to chapels, take random drug tests and stuff like that. So our program has a pretty high success rate. It's about 80%. And it's more than a lot of the secular programs out there. In this last year, we've had a lot of changes in the house. We used to have our work coordinator who moved on. His name was Dale Burkholder. I don't know if anybody out there remembers him. We got a new brother. His name is Chris Goodman. He's the new work coordinator. I'm honored to call him a brother, a friend, and he's going to come up here and share a little bit of his testimony. And you guys just, that's it. See, I'm not good at this, man.
I thought that was pretty good. As Al said, I'm Chris Goodman. I'm the work coordinator. How long had it been open before I came as an intern? A year? Okay, so I wasn't there the first year, but during my internship, I actually started in Jasper County and then moved over to the main center and then just now moved back in the last probably 2 months. So basically, I don't want to spend too much time on all the negatives, but just a little bit. I was sitting down just thinking about how much God has blessed me, and then it went beyond me, and I thought of even you guys out there that I don't know, just thinking about how many times God has done things in our lives that we never expected, but that's how he works. And I was just reminded, when I was younger, I lived in a broken household. My parents were both alcoholics, and that was the lifestyle that I learned from a young age. And if you would have asked me back then, I had no idea who God was. If you would have asked me where I thought my life would be, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I would assume that I would have went down the same path as my family. And with that, from a young age, my parents were never around. I had 2 older brothers. My oldest brother was 18 years older than me. So he was, as far as I knew, he was my dad. And I just remember wanting to be accepted. It was this lifelong journey that propelled me to act out and to do the things that I did. It was because I never had that growing up. So every decision I made from when I was 11 on up was with that goal in mind. What can I do to be accepted by my peers? What can I do to fill this void that I've felt empty since I was a kid? And sadly, I chose the wrong things. I found the wrong crowds that accepted me because I was doing the same bad things they were doing. I was getting nowhere in life. And I thought that that was success, though, because people liked me. I had validation. I felt, for a brief moment, I felt like I was special. And this went on for probably 10 years. So from about the age of 16 to the end of 25, I battled with drug addiction. I had everybody that cared about me, my brother, and everybody that was actually doing well and trying to show me who Christ was, I pushed aside, because at this point I thought that I knew the way I wanted to go, and I didn't know another way out. And I just remember this feeling that nothing I did was ever good enough. It had been spoken over my life from when I was young, and I believed it. I believed that no matter what I did, I was never going to amount to anything. I was never going to live up to the standard that I was supposed to live up to. And by the age of 25, I finally came to a crossroad where I contemplated suicide. I thought that my life would be better off. I thought that if I was gone, my family wouldn't suffer. Nobody would have to worry about me anymore. And I had every intention of just using whatever I could and not waking up. And that was the first encounter that I ever had with God. I just remember my mindset was I was just empty. Everything I thought was going to fill me, I was even more emptier than before. I kept trying to fill a void that I didn't know how to fill. And so I took a bunch of pills, and I remember standing up, and the only thing I could say was I don't feel right, and I stood up and blacked out. And the best way to describe it was, it felt like this outer body experience. And it was like I was up in the air and I was seeing my body in a casket, and my family was surrounded and they were sobbing, and I felt this presence. I didn't know how to describe it, but this question just provoked me. And he said, "Chris, you're 25 years old, and if this is what you want with your life, and I'll give it to you." And safe to say, that's not what I chose. But I woke up, I'm in the hospital, and the first person I decide to call is my brother and sister-in-law. And mind you, by this time, because of my choices, I didn't want anything to do with them. I had 2 nieces and 2 nephews, and I abandoned everybody that cared about me. And in a split second, I called and said, "Hey, I need help. I don't know what it looks like. I'm tired of doing this." And I went to meet them, and I'm telling her the story, and I'm crying, and she starts smiling, and I get mad and offended, and I'm like, I died, and you're laughing. And the thing that she said next has never left me. And in that moment, she told me that the night before, that my nieces and nephews, and this, we're talking about prayers of 4 years old up to 9, 10, and my little nephews are praying for me to hit rock bottom without being seriously injured. And the next morning, I'm calling saying I want help. You can't tell me it's a coincidence. You can't tell me that's nothing but God. And it was right there, just confirmation. And I said, "Okay, I don't know who you are, but I'm willing to do whatever it is, because obviously you spared me for a reason. You showed me that what I thought I wanted was not what I wanted." And that began this journey of finding out who Christ was, which started at Teen Challenge. And I love what Al said, is when people look at it, they see a program because we have structure and all that, and that's true. But what we do is we provide the opportunity to encounter Jesus. We give you an opportunity to get away from all the distractions that are going on, everything that you were dealing with out there, and you get to refocus, and you get to gain a relationship that will sustain you the rest of your life if you allow it to. And I started that in 2017. I went through as a student, and I was battling towards the end of it because I didn't want to do an internship. I wanted to go home, and I got my family back. I was going to go work the family business, everything I wanted. And I just felt this tugging. And I'm like, "Okay, God, what do you want?" Because obviously there's no peace in this. I'm ready to go home, and you're not allowing me to go home. Why? And I'm pleading, and finally I just kind of burst out, and I said that. I said, "I got my family back." And I just felt him ask me, who gave you your family back? And it came back around again, and I'm like, man, okay, I get it. Everything that I've been given back to me was from you, and this life is no longer about me. So I decided to do an internship. I came to Jasper County in 2018. And even from that moment, I just look at God's favor over my life when I don't deserve it, when none of us deserve it, yet he's still so faithful and does so many things behind the scenes that we don't understand. And I just look back and I'm just amazed to be where I'm at, to serve with the same people that I went through with. When I was a student, Al was actually one of the staff members there. And yeah, I'm going to do it. And so this is pretty petty, but there's certain rules and things there. And I remember one day we were going to class, and Al, being the man of integrity, holding the rules, he said, "Hey, be in class at this time. Don't be late." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And I show up late. I show up 30 seconds late. And I tried to argue that. I said, "Dude, come on, 30 seconds." He said, "No, late is late." And in that moment, my whole attitude about Al changed for probably a good month. It's like, man, this dude is just a stickler. I don't like him, blah, blah, blah. And then as I've gotten to know him, and like even over the years, he's become one of my best friends. Like I look at this journey, and to see the different personalities that God puts around, it's just amazing. Like if you look at the way the house functions, all four of us are totally different. But that's the beauty of it. We're not all the same. We all have different quirks and things that we do that irritate one another. But like that's how it works. And when given the opportunity to come back, I jumped on it. I was excited to come back and to start a new adventure. As Al was talking about not being comfortable speaking, I'm not as comfortable with the work department, but at the same time, I believe that if God has called me to it, then he'll qualify me. And I'm just thankful to be a part of this. It's been almost 4 years, and I can't even tell you where the time's gone. I know to some people 4 years isn't a lot, but for me to be in the same place for 4 years, that's a lot. I was used to running. Everything was, if it wasn't comfortable, I was used to running. And God has changed that. God has put me through situations where I could run, but I truly believe that once you come to encounter Christ, your life's never the same. You can run away, but that conviction's there, and the things that you used to like are not the same. And there's a verse that has always stuck with me, and it's Philippians 3:13. And it says, "Brethren, I do not regard myself as having laid hold of it yet, but one thing I do is forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead." And as I think about that verse, even our past, it's part of our story. But I'm reminded over and over again that you don't dwell on those things. You use them to move forward. You no longer look at your past life, but you start to strive towards that purpose that God has given you, that new life in Christ that they talk about. Thank you.
I can't believe you shared that. That's crazy. I was taught 15 minutes earlier on time. If you're on time, you're late, right? It was a lot of you guys, but it happened. So I'm going to call my brother Brian up here. He's been interning with us for a little bit, and he was talking about quirks. This is Brian.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Brian Miller. I'm from Elkhart, Indiana. I'm 59. So first thing I want to say is that God's a right on time God. He's never too late, because I thought my life was over for probably about 20 years. I mean, I've been a drug addict for almost 30 years of my life, and I had no hope, no ambitions, no desires. And God got my attention one day. I was with my brother, and I was using, and not mind you, throughout this life of mine, I never had one hair on my head, which I don't have any right now. So it's hard to envision that, but I never had one hair on my head harmed, which in the drug business, you don't have control over a lot of things. And a lot of unexpectancies can happen. And I was one that lived on lies, that connived, swindled, stole. So all kind of stuff should have came my way. So that told me right there that God was really looking out for me. For what reason, I don't know. At that time, I didn't. But this day, my brother set my hand on fire, this whole hand. And by the grace of God, I have a little scar here, which is the mark of God, not the devil. I turned it around because the devil meant it for evil. He tried to condemn me with this. But I heard a sound, and I heard a voice said, "What must I do?" I got your attention. Now here's your warning. You know what comes next. And I didn't want what came next. And I broke out in tears, but there were tears of joy because for 20-something years of my life, I finally heard him. And I came to Teen Challenge. And in the course of that, like Al was saying, I'm an intern now. I started off at Jasper. This was one of the first guys I met. And never told him, but I didn't fare well with him. I accepted him because of the position he held. The position was divine. It came from God, and I honor that. He's a stern man, and in my internship, I even grown to love him more because of how he holds me now. You know, he's not letting me just slide through like I did when I was that other guy. And for that, because nobody ever was that intentional in my life except God. And this is a God man. And I love him for that because he's helping me become that God man. You know, first off, I was going to speak about obedience and disobedience until I got up here. And just to bring that full circle, my obedience was 11 years in prison, off and on, in and out of the county jails, broken marriage, broken relationships with my children, broken relationships with my mom, broken relationship with anything that I came in contact with. So my thinking was that I could never do nothing right. Because every time I touched something, even when it was good, I messed it up. You know? And in all that brokenness, I truly believe that God was allowing that so I could learn from him and get pointed towards him. But being the man I am, that's why I'm so old coming to this place, because I'm hard-headed, very stubborn, and I want to do it my way, and I want it when I want it, and I'm going to get it. You know, so it took all these years just to get my attention and to slow me down so I can really hear from him and start learning how to be a God man and to quit being so selfish. You know, these three men sitting back here, if it wasn't for them, because each day I got to know and make sure that I'm in a place of God that I can deal with them without telling them how I feel or without blowing up, without giving them that other person. And that's helped making me. You know, my biggest prayer was that God teach me how to love. I knew how to lust, never learned how to love. You know, my mother showed me her love, but I didn't really know what it was because she was never home. She was always working to provide for me. And that was the way she loved me. But I needed that intimacy. And I never got it growing up. Everybody that I loved or liked, they moved on with their life, and I never wanted to grow up. You know, and then God came in my life, and he's showing me how to be mature. That mature Christian, the one that reaches out, that sacrifices life. And I dedicated my life. When I came into the ministry, I've already told God 2 years at least, because I'm a man of that other way stuff so much that I knew 1 year wasn't going to do nothing for me. And I struggled throughout the ministry, bad. And I thought at 9 months, I really looked at myself and I said, man, I ain't learned nothing. Here I am. I look like I just came in the building and I'm 9 months into the program. What's really going on? And then God spoke to me and turned it around and said, no, you made success because long as you're still in the house, and I really stand on this, God can do anything with you if you're in the house. If you go outside the house, man, you're open to anything the devil wants to do with you, you know. And I'm afraid of that because I knew what I was doing to myself, not even thinking I was following the devil. And so I really don't want the devil to come at me. You know, I got enough issues on my own trying to get this thing right, you know. But the one thing about the Jasper house is I love the intimacy because we're around each other 24/7. I mean, we eat together, we do the studies at the same table, everything, right here at this big old table. And the beauty of it is we can separate the table to give the brothers a little privacy, but it's not. It's not. I can hear Chris when he's up in his room moving stuff or whatever he's doing up there, making noise. I can hear Al sometimes and stuff, but I sit back and say, God, this is awesome because here's a man that didn't have no hope. And here's the beauty of this thing. God gave me a life to where I feel like I'm accepted. I feel like I'm normal again. The life that I threw away, that my mom tried to give me, God gave me that with umpteenth brothers now, you know. And then we got these families that accept us, the congregation that you are. You know, the beauty of Christ is no matter where I go, I'm at home. I'm at home. I don't have to know any one of y'all. But because of our common bond with Christ, we're brothers, we're sisters, and we walk the same direction. And I could probably stand up here and just keep talking, so I'm going to shut up and and get on. But I thank you for listening to me.
Well, I just learned I make horrible first impressions. My gosh. I need to work on some stuff. Man, thank you guys for having us. You guys can come ask us any questions after this. I think we took too much time, right? We're good? All right. Well, I guess that's all we got for now. Thank you for having us. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask us. Thank you.